we were out on the trails and Allison was driving and I was filming, and I noticed the whole cab of the truck just flexing and wiggling off the frame every time she went over a bump. I could see the cab lifting off the frame a little bit. And I'm like, I could have sworn that I cranked those body mounts nice and tight, but now I know the issue.
We've taken on what some might call a lost cause. A tired, clapped-out Toyota Tacoma that's seen better days. Our mission is to bring it back to life and drive it all the way to Alaska. When we first got our hands on it, the truck was in pretty bad shape. The suspension, completely shot. The driveline, desperate for attention. And the frame, well, it had more cracks than a dry lake bed. Years of salty Canadian winters and road grime had taken their toll, turning steel into scale.
Crazy.
This Tacoma had racked up over 300,000 kilometers before it tapped out. Most vehicles wouldn't make it nearly that far, let alone deserve a second life. But an old Toyota? I fully expect it to do another 300, and that kind of longevity is why we're here.
Hey, we got another one stuck.
Sure, it takes time and money and an exponential amount of effort, but when the road ahead leads to Alaska and the truck is ready for the adventure, the juice is absolutely worth the squeeze.
Is about to be on its own way, first time in a long time. Everybody ready? We are back with another Tacoma episode, and that's because we got it out on a test run to test out all the new components. And we have a few problems with the vehicle. And you know what? It's not to be unexpected after doing this much work to a vehicle to have a few hiccups and bumps and things that you need to take care of after getting it out on a test run. That's the whole point of a test run, is to identify if there are any issues. And the hope is that there aren't any issues, but unfortunately this time we do have a couple issues. Now, I've already fixed a few of the issues, but there's one here that's kind of stressing me out a little bit. I had to run around today to get the proper tool to hopefully fix this problem. Like I said, we got the truck out on a test run, so I'll show you that. I'll show you where we went, what we did. I was actually super impressed with this thing overall. It did really well. Let's dive in. I'll show you what I have to fix. I'll show you the tool that I had to buy. I'll show you what I've already fixed. Let's get into it.
With the build finally buttoned up and the truck looking the best it has since being on the showroom floor, it was time to shake things down. There's only so much you can learn in the garage. The real test comes when you hit the road. So we loaded up our gear, pointed the truck towards the backcountry, and set off on a 2-day test run. Our goal is to push the truck through a mix of highway, gravel, and some technical trails, and to camp out each night and see how everything holds up in real-world conditions. What could possibly go wrong? We spend the evening camping beside a melting stream in the beautiful Alberta backcountry. Just us, the quiet of the forest, and the sound of snowmelt rushing over the rocks. The truck handled the trails impressively today, crawling over everything we threw at it without breaking a sweat. But as with any fresh build, a few issues have started to surface. Nothing catastrophic yet, but enough to raise a few red flags. Once we're back at home, it'll be back on the jack stands for a while to sort things out properly.
Sorry to interrupt the Tacoma build video. I just wanted to come on here and say a huge thank you to you guys for watching, following along with this build, and hopefully following us on the adventure up to Alaska. It should be an awesome one. Allison and I made some t-shirts that are going to be for sale on our website. We have a bunch of different colors, a bunch of different sizes, cool graphics here. We got the breast logo, and then we got something on the back here. Hop on over, check out our t-shirt sale going on right now. We have a limited supply. You can order directly off of our website, or there should be a place in the description of this video where you can get directly to the t-shirts. Now we are back into the build.
Back at home in the garage, it's time to dive into some of these problems that we came across during our test run. Sometimes it feels like this truck just loves to be on jack stands.
Okay, so one thing at a time. Let's start with the body mounts and why they weren't properly tightened. So you have the cab of the vehicle that's sitting on top of the frame, and in between the cab and the frame is a rubber bushing. Okay, that's what the body sits on, and along with some washers. And then underneath the frame, there's another rubber bushing, and then a bolt that goes through everything. So it's like a sandwich of washers and bushings that clamp the cab of the truck to the frame, and then a bolt that goes through everything and then tightens it down. But what actually ended up happening was inside of these rubber bushings is actually a metal sleeve that runs all the way through. Okay, it's a cylindrical metal sleeve that runs all the way through the bushings, and that sleeve was too long. So when I went to compress the body mount bushings with my bolt that runs all the way through, right? You're tightening. I tightened the mount so much, but then the inside sleeve there wasn't able to tighten because it's a hard steel sleeve, right? So I wasn't actually able to compress the body mount bushings correctly, and I wasn't able to get the clamping force for the cab onto the frame. So we were out on the trails, and Allison was driving and I was filming, and I noticed the whole cab of the truck just flexing and wiggling off the frame every time she went over a bump. I could see the cab lifting off the frame a little bit. The sleeve inside the bushings was too long, so no matter how much I tighten that bolt, I cannot get the proper clamping force. So I took the sleeves out, took the body mounts apart again, took the sleeves out, and I actually chopped the sleeves down just like half an inch, and that has allowed me to get the proper clamping pressure onto those body mounts. So you can imagine that the clunking inside of the cab going over bumps was just horrendous. It sounded like something was about to fall off. Thankfully, nothing fell off. It was just my cab wiggling around on the frame, but such an annoying noise that I had to immediately get in there and figure out what the heck was going on. Problem number 2 is another noise that was actually making a horrible clunk. The whole truck was just super clunky and kind of very annoying to drive, actually. Problem number 2 here is the leaf spring mount, where the head of the leaf spring comes and meets the front mount. So the front of the leaf spring comes up and bolts into that mount. It's actually making contact. So the top of the leaf spring in the mount, in the bucket there, is contacting the frame. And every time you go over a big bump, a big jounce, it rubs. The leaf spring rubs on the frame and makes not such a good noise. And I don't want to risk bending the leaf spring, damaging the leaf spring. So yeah, that's problem number 2. Problem number 1 is fixed. I got the sleeve out, shortened, and retightened the body to the frame, so that should be all good. Problem number 2, I went out and bought a die grinder, just used off of Facebook Marketplace, and a special bit. So the bit is a carbide bit for grinding steel, and this tool here, the die grinder, will allow me to get in that hard to reach area of the spring hanger mount there, because the area is just too tight to fit a traditional grinder in there. So I'm gonna have to do the die grinder, but thankfully I was able to get everything together, and my plan is to grind down the frame side just enough that when the spring comes up, it will sit properly in there and not contact the frame anymore. I don't want to grind down the spring at all to weaken the spring, but I have quite a bit of extra material on the frame to work with. So more grinding to do.
Typically, when installing new leaf springs, you wouldn't run into a problem like this. I'm not exactly sure why the leaf springs don't fit well in the mount, but my theory is that it's because I had to fit aftermarket leaf spring mounts as well when repairing the frame. My thought is that the two aftermarket parts, the springs and the mounts, aren't exactly playing well together. Maybe they would have fit better together if we were using either factory springs or factory mounts. It's all good though, because my trimming and shaving seems to be working. The only problem is, I'm not sure how much material to take off. It won't be much, but I have a feeling it's going to be several rounds of trimming and testing before getting it right.
I am tired of trying to line up these leaf springs. After like the 4th or 5th time you try to get these leaf springs in, it gets very tiring, and I'm over it. I always have the struggle of lining the hole up. The whole axle just needs to like shift forwards towards the front of the truck, just like a couple of millimeters, but I can't ever without like excessive prying on the shackles or trying to damage something, right? So I got the leaf spring snug back up in there and realized that I didn't shave enough material back. So springs are back out, and I'm out of breath because getting these springs back out is just such a bear. Springs are back out, got to trim, shave a little bit more material off the frame, and then it should be good. But I'm gonna get really good at doing these leaf springs, and I'm pretty sure it's just because I don't like doing them that I'm gonna get really, really good at doing them over and over again.
As I suspected, the leaves need to come in and out several times in order to complete the proper amount of trimming. After this, I'm really hoping not to touch these springs again for a long, long time.
Just check the hair situation. It is not good, but that's okay because we're out here in the garage again. We just got the leaf springs fitted back up, hopefully for the last time. Oh my God, fingers crossed that when I put this truck on the ground and take it for a test drive, there will be no more clunking. Let's get this truck on the ground once again, take it for a test drive, and see what we're working with. We're going to be at the AOA Expo, the Alberta Outdoor and Adventure Expo this year. If you guys want to come by, check out the truck, say hello, have a chat, talk rigs, talk travel, hit me up, come say hi at the expo. We'll see you guys there. Let's get this truck out of the garage and see if it's got any clunking going on. Going on the test drive now. Are you guys ready to hear me jump for joy or scream in agony if I hear one more clunk? I don't know if I'm ready for this, but let's go. Let's see what we got. So far so good, but the real test is pulling in and out of alleyways and parking lots. When the truck gets that side to side sway motion is when I really hear the noisy body mounts. So I'm nervous. What? Yeah! Just pulled into a big parking lot, and I'm excited because there is no clunk.
Well, do the speed bumps.
Speed bump. You have no idea how good that feels to hit a bump and not hear any clunking. Don't zoom in that much.
What do you have to say?
I think that's a success. We've gone through the parking lot, gone through the speed bumps, come in and out of the parking lot. It's looking pretty good. All right, so we are out at our local four-wheel drive recreation area today. Gonna put the truck through its paces after all the work that we've done. We've taken it out on a few test drives, we've taken it camping once, but nothing really to flex the truck out too heavily, really get it into some technical four-wheel driving, because we're going to be doing quite a bit of that up in Alaska, I anticipate. So I just wanna make sure that the truck flexes okay, that it's not making any weird noises, that four-wheel drive works, high range, low range, that we can get over over some obstacles, turn my rear locker on, just make sure all the systems are working properly and have some fun out on the trail today. So let's get after it. Found a little rad cap in the dirt. Somebody's rad cap. All right, so there's a big rock step section coming up here, which will be a great place to put it into low range and engage that rear locker and really get the suspension flexing out. We've already gone over a few flexy spots that have been great. So far, so good. But this next rock shelf here will really put the truck to the test. Okay, we got up that obstacle pretty easily. I'm pretty happy. I'm pretty impressed with how the truck articulated over that rock shelf there. I really noticed a difference in the new suspension system from what was on the truck before. How the truck seems to flex and be able to keep a tire on the ground, keep chewing for traction much easier. Before, I used to scramble quite a bit and have to kind of go a bit harder on the truck to get it up and over obstacles like that. So new suspension seems to be going well so far. I did have the rear locker engaged, which is kind of the easy button, but hey, you know what? If I got it, I'm going to use it, right? Let's keep getting up this trail. This section here poses more of a real cross axle section. So when the front left is down and the rear right is up, and you're really getting some binding in that suspension and drive line, and to see how the traction actually works and if there's enough flex in the suspension to keep all four wheels on the ground. I don't know, let's see how it'll do. So that section we did without the rear locker engaged. I just wanted to see how the vehicle would flex and if it could do a technical cross axle section similar to that without having the rear locker engaged. Because sometimes on these old Toyotas, those rear actuators stop working, they get corroded on the inside. You don't have a rear locker, right? So that simulated if my rear locker were to ever go out and I had to get through a technical section like that, could it make it? And the answer is yes. Now we know. The next section coming up, I'm very familiar with. I always have to use the locker. The washout is so big and the rut is so big that it's just always flexed out the Tacoma suspension completely. And most of the time, I'm actually not able to get up without some max tracks or a winch. It's a pretty big section coming up. So let's see with this new suspension system, if I can get up it, one without a locker. I'm guessing that I will have to engage the locker, but we'll try one without the locker, which will be kind of sketchy because, the truck is like flexed out and on a pretty wicked angle. It feels like it in the cab. And then once I try it without the locker, we will engage the locker and see if we can get up by ourselves. did have to put the locker on because you saw when the truck tried to come up, it just lifted a wheel started to spin, and then all forward progress was lost. So I had to engage the locker, and that binds up the rear diff and forces both the rear wheels to spinning at the same time, even if there's a wheel off the ground. So super nice to have a locker in this thing, and it is definitely needed in a situation like this. You know, I could have backed up and given it another go a little harder, but you know, if you have that locker, why would I stress the truck out and potentially break something, you know, spinning wheels much faster to try to get over something when I could just lock up the rear end? Wow, okay, so on a whim, I chose the largest obstacle at the end of the trail here. There's just a little bit more and then we're at the top. But I said, you know what? Let's have some fun today. We're gonna do the biggest obstacle we can, which is the top steps here at Top of the World. And I did not think this little Tacoma could do it, but it did it. I dented my gas tank skid pan a little bit at the very top, just bottomed out, and now I've got a little bit of a dent in the gas tank skid plate. May have dented the gas tank, I don't know, we'll see when we're back at home in the shop. But guys, don't ever let anybody tell you that you have to have 35s or you have to have lockers. Lockers actually do help. You have to have 35s, you have to have 37s, or you have to have this major lift kit to go out and do any wheeling, or you have to have this or that. You don't need anything. This thing is on 31-inch tires, 31-inch, almost bald tires, by the way, with a rear locker in it. Low-range four-wheel drive, 31-inch tires, a lift kit now, which did help, and a rear locker. You can do it. You can get out there in your stock truck and go have a ton of fun. So don't let anybody tell you that you need 35s or you need 37s or you need 40s or you need this or you need that. You don't need any of that. You need to get out there and you need to test your truck and see what it can do before doing modifications to it. A truck with four-wheel drive and low-range gearing, and you need a way to air your tires down and air them back up. Those things will get you so much further than you could ever imagine.
Thanks for watching another one of our Tacoma build videos. There's a few things left to do on the truck to get it ready for the Alaska trip, so stay tuned, and we'll catch you in the next adventure.